Okay, so in this video today we're gonna discuss saving money by mastering 3 shipping terms, easy steps to make sure you are getting the best rates with your supplier based on the shipping terms you'll choose with him. So first of all, let's do a quick overview about the Incoterms. Basically, Incoterms are a standard set of rules created by the Chambers of Commerce, International Chamber of Commerce. They basically define costs and obligations between buyers, importers, and sellers, suppliers, and freight forwarders. Basically, overall, there are a total of 11 Incoterms and they are reviewed every 10 years. Next review is next year. So the main Incoterms we're going to discuss in these videos are Ex-Works, Free on Board, and DDU. Okay, so Ex-Works mean the actual cost of the product. The only price that the supplier will quote you is the cost of the product, alright? How much it costs him to manufacture your product. The next Incoterm means FOB, Free on Board. Free on Board means cost of product plus the local charges in China or whatever your origin country is. And the third one is DDU. DDU means delivery duty unpaid. Okay, that's basically the cost of product plus the cost of the supplier shipping your product from his factory up to the destination. So a quick tip. When negotiating with suppliers, with different suppliers, alright, when you're getting quotes from suppliers for your product, only get the Ex-Works prices. And why is that? The Ex-Works prices means that that's the actual, the pure cost of the product. And that's comparing apples to apples, right? Don't get FOB charges, don't get DDU charges from different suppliers because it will include shipping. It will include local charges. When you compare quotes from suppliers, you only want to compare the actual cost of the product. How much it's going to cost with supplier A and how much it's going to cost with supplier B. You want to eliminate the local charges. Okay? Now let's go into a live example. Let's say we buy 1,000 pillows. All right. Under Ex-Works terms, those pillows would cost $5 per unit. All right. So we buy in 1,000 pillows. We have 5,000 total of $5,000 of our order. And if we buy the same pillows, 1,000 pillows under FOB terms, that cost would be 5.5 per unit. All right. Total of 5,500. Now we know that the difference between the Ex-Works and FOB is $500. All right. 1,000 pillows, $5 per unit, $5,000 total of the order. 1,000 pillows under FOB terms would cost 5,500, $500 difference. And you know that the supplier accounted $500 for the local charges. If you remember, we said FOB cost, which would be the cost of the product and the cost of the local charges in China, supplier delivering the cargo to the forwarder's warehouse, to the port of exit, and taking care of all the export procedures, and that he accounted for $500. And now the tip is you're gonna go to your forwarder and ask for a shipping quote, a shipping price for your product under Ex-Works terms. You're gonna give him the supplier's the exact pickup address so he can calculate the total pickup cost and the export procedure, and you're gonna give him the same quote for under FOB terms. Alright, so in that case you'll get 2 quotes from your forwarder as well, one under Ex-Works and one under FOB, and you can see exactly how much your forwarder accounted for the local charges. Alright, if your forwarder was cheaper, go with your forwarder, buy under EXW terms. If your supplier was cheaper, go and buy from supplier under FOB terms. Alright, that's how you can save at least $100 or $200 per order. Try it, it works. So basically, the summary of this tip: get 2 prices from your supplier. After you lock down on a supplier, get a quote under Ex-Works terms and get a quote under FOB terms. When you go to your forwarder, get a quote under FOB terms and get a quote under Ex-Works terms. And that's how you can exactly see how much each party takes for the local charges. Next tip would be, you can also compare how much the shipping charge is gonna cost when using your supplier or using different freight forwarders. If you remember, we discussed on the third Incoterms that we're gonna utilize, that's DDU, delivery duty unpaid. When you buy a product under a DDU terms, which it means that your supplier will quote you the price of the product plus the price of shipping. Your supplier will contract a Chinese freight forwarder, or if you work in India, an Indian freight forwarder, doesn't matter. You will hire a local freight forwarder and you'll get the quote from him for the delivery. So the same pillows, the same 1,000 pillows under Ex-Works term, under FOB terms, now you're gonna ask from your supplier the cost of DDU, right? 1,000 pillows, for our example, under DDU terms would cost $7.5 per unit. Multiplied by 1,000, that's 7,500. And now you can know that the difference between the DDU price to the export price is 2,500. If you remember, 1,000 pillows under export term cost us $1 per unit, so we have 7,500 including shipping and 5,000 not including shipping. And you know that the shipping cost that the supplier was accounted for is 2,500. Next, you would go to your freight forwarder, get a quote from him, and see how it compares to your supplier. We do not recommend shipping products with suppliers. It's just to get a benchmark. It's just to roughly get a cost of the shipping process. All right. If you have a very big difference between your supplier's quote and your freight forwarder quote, you're gonna start asking questions. You can ask the forwarder and you can ask the supplier. All right. That's the estimate. Final tips. When comparing between supplier costs of products, make sure to check your supplier location. The location of the factory can affect the local charges greatly. What does it mean? If your supplier is located far away from the port, alright, the local charges, the transportation from your supplier to the port will be much higher, whether if the supplier is located near to the port, near the port of exit. Right? Location of the factory will also determine the port of departure. Port of departure can sometimes really affect your supply chain, your whole supply chain. Alright, shipping lines, frequency of departures, and costs. Every port will have different costs, every port in China will have different frequency of departures. And for the final tip, if you decide to ship with your supplier, if it's a small order, your first order, you want to go with a supplier, make sure his forwarder knows how to deliver to Amazon, make sure his forwarder has experience with shipping to Amazon. Thank you very much.